Okay, we said at 7:05 we will start the class, so let's begin. Good evening to all of you. Thank you for taking time on a busy weekday, that's Tuesday, to join this session of mine on persuasion and influence. My name is Surekha Ritesh. I'm a soft skills trainer, a coach, and an HR consultant to a few startups here in Hyderabad. I am extremely passionate about training and I conduct training programs for employees right from the junior level to mid management on various topics ranging from communication, business etiquette, negotiation, client management, presentation, and influence and persuasion, just to name a few. That's a brief outline about myself. Let's move on to this session. Our session for today is on influence and persuasion. Uh, it's a very relevant topic, not only being part of the corporate world, but also for students, also to have an impact in your personal life, and also to ensure that you are able to manage people and understand people effectively around you. What I'm going to discuss with you today is about a book written by Dr. Robert Cialdini. He had written a book called The Power of Influence and Persuasion. It was a New York Times bestseller, and it's still one of the most prominent and sought of business books, and a very effective book with lots of practical examples. Dr. Robert Cialdini, who's the author of the book, is a professor in psychology and marketing from the Arizona State University. In the early 90s, he realized that there should be something that would influence people, and we need to find out what are the tricks that do so. So he disguised himself and worked at various small shops, car dealerships, restaurants, and did a lot of work and research in understanding what are the key factors that influence people's decision making choice, or what are the factors that force you to make a decision. And based on his research work of 2 years, he has laid down six principles, which are the guiding stars, you may say, of how people and marketing and the advertising industry uses tricks to influence us. So it's important to understand that these are just a few techniques that he has shared with us. You may want to use them. I definitely try to use them both in my personal and professional space. And since it's a very relevant topic, I thought that this would be very interesting to share this knowledge with all of you. So let's move on to the presentation. So as I was talking to you, uh, Dr. Robert Cialdini was a professor in the Arizona State University, and he has written this book on the psychology influence of persuasion. And he talks about six characteristics or six approaches that people use to influence and negotiate and to win arguments or to make people make that final purchasing behavior. As I mentioned, it was a bestseller in the New York Times, and it is currently also regarded as one of the very popular books for business management. So I would recommend all of you to read this book if possible. And in case you don't have time, at least utilize these principles that I have tried to capture in a small way from this book, which I thought I should share with all of you. The first principle that Dr. Robert talks about is the principle of reciprocity. He strongly believed that if people get something, they have a feeling or a tendency to return that favor. And this is what he called as a principle of reciprocity. For example, two friends are going to a supermarket and one friend falls short of some cash at the billing counter. The other one pays up for this friend and they walk out together with a smiling face. A few days later, they meet again at a coffee shop. This time, the friend who actually fell short of some rupees at the supermarket earlier, few days back, would now want to pay for the cup of coffee for her friend just to reciprocate that behavior or action. So, what the philosophy of reciprocity believes that people get to reciprocate or want to reciprocate behavior that they have experienced. Let's try to understand this better. The principle of reciprocity focuses on two facts. One, that we feel a tendency to repay others, and two, a feeling of indebtedness often produces a yes as a response. A research was conducted to find out how this reciprocity behavior affects us as individuals, as diners at a restaurant. In the first study, servers provided a piece of candy to diners while serving the check. It was noticed that the amount of tip that was paid to the servers increased significantly. In the second study, it was seen that the servers gave the candies while giving the check and later again came back and gave the same set of customers few more candies just to please them. This act of coming back again and giving them candies reciprocated a behavior of increase in the tip amount from 15% to 18%. This research clearly shows that the idea of giving the candy was not to get the tip, but because my kid got a candy at the end of her meal, I feel reciprocated to tip the server. So it is all about a mind game. It's all about understanding the feeling of reciprocity. A lot of companies do this through their employee engagement programs. When they are wanting to uh, ensure that employees are rewarded for particular years of service, or for a happy occasion, they or for a marriage or a birthday, they reward them with a gift certificate. The idea of the gift certificate is just to ensure that the employee continues to stay with the organization. I'm also aware of a company called DirectEye, who's an IT oriented company based out of Mumbai, having a very rigorous recruitment process. A lot of people don't get through it. But for all those who get through it, the company gives them an iPad as a prize with their recruitment or offer letter. The purpose of giving the iPad is just to motivate or incentivize and ensure that the person who receives the offer letter eventually joins the company. Step 2, consistency. Dr. Robert believed that if people make a commitment, they are bound to comply to the commitment that they have made. He explained this very sweetly through a few examples. What he consciously believed was that we have a desire or appear to be consistent to what we have already said. So, in case we have made choices, we have a hidden desire to stick by those choices. And we stick by those choices over a period of time. For example, an experiment was conducted with regards to safe driving. 17% of the people agreed to put a huge board on their backyard which said drive safely. And 73% of people on the other street agreed. The reason that people on the next street agreed was that a few weeks back, another volunteer had asked them to place a window sticker on their car stating be a safe driver. Hence, they felt obligated to this fact of safe driving. So, when another volunteer came and asked them to put a drive safety board on their backyard, this clearly shows that if we agree or believe strongly on a concept, we would go to any extent to comply or be consistent with that belief or value. In another experiment, it was seen that a few people were asked to wear cancer awareness buttons. Since the request was harmless, they agreed to do so. Over a period of time, it was noticed that these people who wore the cancer awareness button were the people who maximum donated for the cause of cancer. This is a trick or a technique that is used by a lot of people, especially people who are CEOs or important influencers in our society. Leaders use a public platform to get a buy-in among their employees for a particular cause. And the reason they do it publicly is to ensure that you are consistent and committed to the decision you have agreed upon. Once you commit to it, there is 100% chance that you will commit and comply to it always. But talked about was the principle of likability. He called it persuade people by getting them to like you. If people like you, there are more high chances that people will buy from you. And this principle is what he referred to as the principle of likability. Now, there are various factors that can be considered for liking someone. It might be physical attractiveness, association, contact, compliments, just to name a few. Professor Robert explained this with the simple example of Brownie Wise, who came up with the concept of Tupperware party. Brownie Wise introduced the concept of Tupperware party among housewives in the United States. What this concept was based on were two aspects: A, direct selling, and B, to sell to people who like you. It's easier to convince them to make a purchase because they like you. She introduced the concept of Tupperware party, wherein housewives would call their friends and showcase the Tupperware products. Due to the likability factor, this direct sales mechanism was a big hit. Now, after that, it was replicated and direct sales became a medium of marketing by a lot of brand advertisers. You might have seen that a lot of websites use people who are familiar to the organization and to portray them. The purpose of doing so is that only people who are likable can create a factor or an aura of influence. And it is this aura of influence that will make you make the final decision of buying. And hence, a lot of companies use this tactic very fruitfully in their careers page of their website. Before I discuss upon the other aspects, I would like to know that do you have any questions? We discussed three principles: A, reciprocity, B, consistency, and C, likability. Do you have any questions on these three aspects before we move ahead? Any questions? Any questions on these three aspects before we move ahead? Okay. Since there are no questions, let's move on further to the other aspects of influence and persuasion. The fourth aspect that Dr. Cialdini talked about was the principle of authority. We are conditioned to believe or respond to people who are at a higher authority. It may be your principal at school, it may be your boss at work, it may be a doctor, it, it may be your lawyer, or it may just be a chartered accountant. Because of the profession that people are in, we tend to get influenced by them and carried away by the decisions or information that they share with us. And hence, it's important to understand that authority needs to be used very sparingly. All of us have blind trust and faith in our doctors. The reason being, we believe that they have the education and the experience to give us the right mode of treatment. Hence, the principle of authority demands on the fact that you get influenced by people who are at a level of authority. Let's understand this better. Authority can come in terms of title, in terms of clothing, or in terms of owning certain luxury products. We might have noticed that many bankers in New York, London, or Singapore usually wear business suits every day just to impress their wealthy clients. The idea being that when you are able to connect with your client understands you and can relate to you and can connect to what you're trying to convince them about. It was only after the Agnew Clinic painting by Thomas Eakins in 1889 that doctors actually began wearing the white coat. It is only now that it's synonymous of the white coat being clean, safe, and a source of authority. But before that, doctors never wore the white coat. It was blind trust and belief. Just the designation and position of being a doctor was good enough to make people take action. A lot of advertising that's done these days also use authority as a key statement to influence their buyers. Sensodyne uses in terms of saying our dentists recommend this. You would see a lot of detergent powders who say this. You will see a lot of health drinks. They also compete saying trusted by our experts. We know what works. Our company is a pioneer in this. You would also see that you get influenced when you see statements saying as featured in Wall Street Journal. So authority can be demanded not only in terms of titles, but also in terms of clothing and also in terms of trappings. The next principle that Dr. Robert spoke about was the principle of scarcity. What he spoke was that people would value resources that are very. If anything that is not available, people will want it more. For example, right now in the current pandemic situation, a lot of people cannot get their essential daily needs. There's a scarcity of it. So he said that people can often use scarcity as a principle for influencing or persuading people. Let's understand this better. He referred to it as a deadline technique or the limited number tactic, which works well in influencing people to make a decision on the spot, on the spur of the moment. He said that the deadline technique was something that people used to ensure that buyers made a spontaneous decision. A lot of times we get fooled when people say limited number of stock is available or limited designer watches available or only first 10 people will win this lucky draw or participation first 10 people who participate will get this for free. So the limited number technique is a technique to influence people to make that buying behavior. You may see a lot of labels that say that, right? It's a limited edition pack. A lot of this in terms of scarcity is done by marketeers during the festive season in India. We are slowly approaching the festive season, and we can clearly see a lot of marketeers use this as a technique to initiate buying behavior. It may be chocolate, it may be ice cream, it may be clothing, it may be accessories. Everyone uses this technique to ensure instant purchase. A lot of labels and hotel booking sites use this as a technique to make people come to their site. They make statements saying that there are only 3 bookings left. We have only 4 rooms left. Rooms filling fast. Only 1 room left to be filled for this day. We get fooled by these marketing techniques. Most of the time, what they are saying would be correct, but many a time it is just a technique of calling or pulling people to make the purchase. Starbucks used this technique during their Halloween as well as Christmas. During Christmas, they offered the Christmas tree Frappuccino, and during Halloween, the zombie Frappuccino. These Frappuccinos were available for a limited period of only 5 days. And the sales of Frappuccino at Starbucks increased substantially. The idea is to create a demand for a product which may not have demand earlier, but because of the scarcity, the demand increases. Just like right now in the pandemic, there's a high demand for sanitizers, masks, PPE equipment and gear, etc. People are aware that there is a high demand of this, and marketers use this as a principle to market their product. Moving further, coming to the last part of Dr. Roberts' studies was social proof. Social proof talks about behavior that what we see is what we do. This reminds me of the small story that all of us have learned when we were kids, the cap seller and the monkey story. The cap seller was smart enough to throw his cap down, and monkeys repeated this. His idea was clear that he wanted his caps back, but he was smart and intelligent to know how to get it back. A lot of marketeers and advertisers and influencers use this as a technique to make people make decisions. A lot of times, especially during crisis, when we don't know what is the right decision, we tend to pick up behavior or get influenced by people who mean more to the masses. So we just follow them blindly, not knowing whether it would have any repercussions or not. Most times, if they are small similar behavior, they may not have any negative repercussions. But it's always important to be cautious and be aware of what repercussions could be. A lot of comedy stores or comedy sites use this behavior of canned laughter. I'd like to explain this further by saying that if the joke said by the comic star does not make you laugh, the canned laughter would in turn push you or influence you to laugh. The idea being that all people seeing the comic show laugh, irrespective of whether it was funny or not. So, canned laughter is used as a behavior to push you to make that action. That action may not necessarily be purchasing behavior, but to do something that you may not be otherwise wanting to do. Online reviews. Online reviews is something that all of us get hooked into right now. Be it hotel tickets, train tickets, reviews to buy a mobile phone, a laptop, grocery, anything and everything under the sun is now available on the internet. And the only way to check that is through ratings or reviews. Just to share another example, I was just in the midst of buying a laptop today, and the first thing that I did was to see reviews of the laptop. That a lot of these reviews will be rigged, I still think that I should check out the reviews and see whether the laptop that I wish to buy has got a 4 star or a 1 star. So we have just tuned to directly or indirectly get influenced by these pointers that marketers throw at us to influence our behavior. So, what was the purpose of doing this session with all of you? My idea of sharing a brief summary of Dr. Roberts' book was to make you understand that people are not only influencing you to make their buying behavior, but also to ensure that you are able to safeguard yourself from others who are using these tactics. Let's recap. These are the 6 aspects of Dr. Roberts' book on influence. 1. Reciprocity. People generally feel obliged to return favors. 2. Consistency. People generally feel compelled to be consistent with their stated positions. 3. Likability. People generally follow or do things told to them by people whom they like. 4. Authority. People tend to follow people with authority. 5. Scarcity. People tend to buy things if they believe it to be scarce or not available for a long duration. And finally, 6. Social proof. People tend to follow behavior or opinion of others while making decisions. I hope all of you had a great session and enjoyed yourself in understanding factors that influence our behavior. I'm open to questions, or you can reach me at surekhariteshhr@gmail.com. Do we have any questions? Is social proof kind of customer reference? Not necessary customer reference, Himanshu. It is more to do with you getting influenced based upon others' buying behavior. How can we use authority to influence? In case of a face-to-face meeting, you can have authority in terms of your education, in terms of your certification, in terms of your experience. And those are the skill sets that you need to use to have influence on people in a face-to-face meeting. Any other questions, please shoot out on the chat box so that we can discuss here more in detail. I would also like to share with you that since all of you took the time to attend my session, I would be offering you a 30-minute free mentoring session on the Refire platform. Please reach out to the Refire team to book your mentoring session with me. Also, looking forward to seeing all of you all attending more of my programs in the month of July. I'm conducting a session on presentation skills. It would talk to you in detail about all the aspects that you need to consider while making an effective presentation. Your body language, your non-verbal cues, the structure, and things that you need to keep in mind. I would also give you brief feedback on presentations that you would make to me. I think it's a good opportunity to learn, develop, and improve on your presentation skills. Looking forward to having all of you for that session as well. Please get in touch with the Refire team and they could share details more with you. I am open to answering more questions. I will be online for another 10 minutes and we could discuss more questions if any of you have. Any questions? Thank you so much, Himanshu. Any question from others? Thank you so much, Himanshu. Really appreciate. Can I have some feedback from all of you in terms of participants? No questions and no feedback. Okay. Since there are no more questions, hi Suma, how can I help you? I hope you could attend at least part of my session. Appreciate it. Poonam, all these aspects, you need to understand them in detail and try to incorporate them in your day-to-day life and see in different situations which aspect you need to play more and which aspect you need to play less. Depending on situations, you need to figure out what will be the most influential aspect that will work in favor of you. If you would want to discuss in detail, probably you could schedule your mentoring session at the earliest, and we could discuss there more in detail about a particular scenario, particular situation on how we could use these aspects. Yeah. Thank you so much. Any more questions? Okay. Since there are no more questions, I will leave this session. I hope all of you had good insights with this session on influence and persuasion. I really enjoyed taking this session with each one of you. Hoping to see all of you in all my other future sessions on the File platform. Thank you so much. Have a nice day ahead. Thank you so much, Poonam. Really appreciate your feedback.